Hello again, everyone. This is Larry Satchwell here with gardening today. It's been waiting for a long time for the weather to break. Hurricane Michael, it's October 9th, and Hurricane Michael is in the Gulf headed this way. We're supposed to get 2 to 6 inches of rain between now and Friday. We have broken all kinds of heat records this year. We broke a record last week set in 1954. It's been over 90 degrees several days here in October. It just won't cool off, and it's just too early to plant a fall garden. But today I'm going to try to rescue these strawberries. I know it doesn't look like much, but I know there's strawberries in there, and I'm going to put them in this bed next door. And this bed has been untouched for several weeks. I do have some potatoes down here that I'm going to try to avoid. Those were potatoes that were left over from our harvest, and then I threw them in here in a ditch and been covering them up. And we're going to have one more meal of fresh potatoes. I love fresh potatoes, so I'm going to work around that. I just got back from Pooh Mountain, and I'm going to spread this compost over here and dig it in. Oh, I've just spent the last 10 or 15 minutes digging this bed in and raking it out. I'm really happy with the results. This is a strawberry bed, so that means I'm not going to be able to turn this soil over or add any amenities except top dressing it for the next 2 or 3 years, hopefully. So that's why it needs to have a lot of organic matter and get deep. Also want it to hold a lot of moisture. And I really like the physicality of turning the soil over. Gardening is a great exercise. The dogs are excited because there's a great blue heron down in the creek, and they keep barking at it. Anyway, I've just gone over to the goldfish pond and gotten a bucket of pond water. So here's the plan. I'm going to dig this bed with everything in it. I see a bur oak plant I might want to plant up in the woods. This soil is just so dry. So I've got a strawberry plant, and that's the only thing that came up with this soil. And I'm going to throw that in my pond water, and I'm going to gather, that's actually 2 plants. So I'm going to gather these up, separating the weeds from the strawberries. This soil is just bone dry. And strawberries are pretty resilient if you give them a chance, and so is crabgrass. So that's the process. This is going to take a while, but I think it's going to pay off in the long run. So it's been about 10-15 minutes. I've cleared a lot. I have a big pile of seeds, basically, that is a little disconcerting because I know this bed is full of seeds. So the next step is to plant it. It's starting to rain, and I want to get what I have in the ground before it rains any harder. So these plants were extremely dry, and I'm not sure they're going to make it. Strawberries have a crown on them, and that crown needs to stay above the ground. So this has got some new growth on the top. So dig a little hole here, press it in, and keeping that crown right above the ground. If you've ever tried to buy strawberry plants this time of year in the fall, they're very expensive. And now I know why. This is a lot of work, maintaining a strawberry bed throughout the summer. So I'm going to be spacing these about 8 inches apart. I don't expect every one of them to make. This one's got some nice fresh roots on it, so maybe I'll get lucky. A couple years ago, I experimented. I put a frost covering over one bed of strawberries and just pine needles on the other. The bed that was covered did so much better over the winter. We have pretty mild winters here in Georgia, but it will freeze. The coldest I can remember is about 5 degrees in the 35 years we've lived here. In the 40 years we've lived here. But with the climate change, I doubt if we get that cold, although we can see extremes. A couple of weeks ago, we had a really big wind come through and it knocked down a whole bunch of pine needles. And Karen and I harvested those pine needles and I saved them in this stack. I'll be mulching these strawberries with those pine needles. And if I don't get it done today, I'll get it done as soon as it stops raining. The rain held off, so I've got a nice bed of strawberries and an empty bed. Got some ideas for that, but I'm not sure they're going to pan out. That's another video. You might be thinking, geez, Larry, you planted those really close together. Yes, I did.